Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the DeTalented Podcast. Thanks for joining us once again. If you were with us last week or if you were able to watch last week's episode, you know that we had part one of our interview with Brian Mullins, the drummer for the Cold Stairs. And today we're going to continue that interview for part two. Real quick, as always, please click that subscribe button, like the video, comment, share it. You can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Spotify. There's really not a place that you can't find us. One more time, we just appreciate the opportunity to be in your living room, in your car, in your office, wherever you may be listening. Hope you enjoy the episode and hope you have a wonderful week. Well, cool, man. I know that I am excited. I hope that people who haven't heard your music that maybe are in some circles that we run with that watch this will get onto it and kind of see how good it is. We went to a concert here recently at the Victory, and it was probably, dude, one of my favorite concerts I've ever been to.
I know where you're talking about. That was actually at the old.
Oh, it was at the old. That's right. It was at the old National Event Center, wasn't it?
These guys, man, they're probably one of the best bands I've ever seen live.
It was so. It's you could not. It was in. You could not distinguish that you weren't listening to
who was it?
Blackberry Smoke.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you ever played with them? Or
Yeah. We were just on the Rock Legends cruise with them, and
see, that's legit.
Ooh. Yeah, man. Yeah, they're fantastic, man.
Really good.
They're
really
fantastic.
tight and solid, man.
They're so good. They're also
with
good.
Any of the guys or?
Just said hey in passing,
Okay.
you know. I did the Bryce and I did the All-Star Jam with Gary Hoey, and the bass player was back there for a second, and I said hi to the drummer, and that was basically it, you know.
What's the lead singer's name?
Charlie Starr.
Yeah, Charlie Starr. Let me tell you about Blackberry Smoke. They're all fantastic, but it's Charlie Starr's world, and they all live in it.
Yeah,
Charlie.
That dude is one of the best entertainers. Like, dude, he would just, there's just something about him. He just looks like he looks like he came from the sticks in Alabama.
Well, he did.
I know. And he looks exactly like what he is. I don't know. I love
Oh,
that,
no.
man. I'm telling you that I've been the last two concerts I've been to were two of the best that I've ever been to.
Jelly
Roll and him. And I'm not going to lie. I was shocked by Jelly Roll. I like Jelly Roll, but I honestly kind of figured his live show wasn't, dude, it was fantastic. Man, he was good.
He puts a lot into it and a lot into the production.
And he can sing, man.
Yeah, he can sing.
The
production was awesome.
My pet peeve is when you hear people sing and then you go hear them live and it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like, what in the world?
Was that like a slide on Jimmy DeTalent?
No, you're good live. You sound just like you know, I don't know.
Just like anything. For good or bad, it sounds like me.
It doesn't matter, you know, if you just scream the song.
Well, that's right.
You
know that's
what
I do. That's my thing. You got to have a thing. When in doubt, scream it out.
You should see the people in church laugh when there's a note that he's got to reach for, because they'll see him back up.
Get away from the
mic. Dude, he's gonna go for it like that.
I'm not gonna miss that note. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, it's
maybe
violent.
It's not on pitch, but it's there.
No, you're always
the volume is
there.
there.
I don't know that I've ever heard you, just like full off pitch, man. You usually hit it.
I try,
but you go to extremes to do so sometimes. For sure.
I do go.
But man, Jelly could. And so anyway, live. You know, speaking of that, man, because you just went to that concert, and we said we would talk about that. So Jimmy in Vegas went to the Hardy concert. What did you think about Hardy live?
Dude, he's legit live.
I thought he was too.
Yeah, he's super legit.
Because I heard a lot. I was scared. So we went and seen him. Me and Laura went and seen Hardy with some friends at Talladega. He was the show at Talladega that year, which, dude, is crazy. If you ever get a chance, man, I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance to play like on Talladega Boulevard or something during the race, have you ever had opportunity to do that?
No, not.
Oh my gosh. It is. I'll never do it again because honestly, just not the place for me.
Not the
It was fun to see one.
In.
It's not.
Too crazy? Like
it's just it's not just crazy. It's bad. It's
okay.
like we walked back to the place and me and my other buddy that we went with, we're like, man, it's cool to see once, but I'm not interested in this anymore. Now at 22, 23 years old, I've been down there in it. It was fun.
I got you.
But it's just, you know, it's so vulgar. I'm there with my wife. And,
I got you.
We were there with our friends and their two kids.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, it's like you can have fun without being a total
Yeah,
ball.
yeah.
But he was good there. He was good. This was his concert.
He was great there, man.
He was really good. A guy named Stephen Wilson Jr. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's actually he says he's a Southern Indiana boy. I do take. So we're Southern Indiana boys. Well, what do you claim?
Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
I thought you did.
You're born in Kentucky?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that about
Yeah.
you. But just
Yeah.
Henderson though?
Born in Greenville or Muhlenberg County, actually, but spent most of my from first grade on Henderson until I married an Indiana woman, and she pulled me kicking and screaming
you up north
across the Ohio River.
She got you on the right side of the Ohio, didn't she?
Yeah.
You're not gonna say that, are you?
No.
She grew up in the Indiana town.
So we're Southern Indiana boys.
For
so
sure.
Stephen Wilson Jr. is from Seymour.
So
See,
that's
I
kind of
wouldn't-
Louisville area.
I wouldn't consider that
That's
Southern
Southern.
Indiana, but
Oh.
he maintains that he's a Southern Indiana
That's
guy.
Southern.
But I guess, if you're from Fort Wayne or South Bend or Indianapolis, that would be considered
Well, once you get up to
Southern.
Indianapolis is when you hit Central Indiana.
Yeah.
So they are. That
So
is,
he would be
Seymour
considered
is.
Southern to a lot of
It's-
people.
I
it's
don't
in
know, man.
it's
I'm
between
saying
here and
Vincennes or South.
But when you're down
Or
here in the
Southern
dirty
Indiana.
like us,
Yeah.
man.
We're down here in the
We're down here in the dirty. We're Southern Indiana boys. But
dirty-
long story short, man, he's amazing as well. So that it was a good experience, good concert. Yeah.
That's the thing about. That's what really one of the negative things about this town. Like I said, nobody supports it. We've actually had and got some really talented people, musicians around here that probably should do what. And what's sad is for any of them to really go anywhere, it's almost like they got to leave or they got to always be out on the road. Like you said, man, a band that good, they're not even playing any local shows because it's better for them to play.
But you know what, man? What's the phrase? A prophet doesn't have any honor in his own hometown.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I think that's true in a lot of
absolutely,
cases.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even we'll be referred to as a local band. Well, everybody's local to somewhere. I mean, you got to live
exactly.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, one of the college stations wanted to play us on the local hour. Which is whatever, but it's it's not really our aspiration.
Sure. No,
I get that. I totally get it.
I get that.
I totally get it.
Are you guys doing radio campaigns like in Europe or anything or
Not really radio. Some with Planet Rock in the UK, and whatever happens organically on radio is fine, but domestically, almost no luck at radio. Really, no interest in chasing radio. Found the whole thing to be pretty slimy.
Yeah.
As far as the radio promotion folks and all that stuff. And I'm kind of glad to see it go by the wayside. I don't know that. I guess any streaming service might be susceptible to the same shenanigans, but we had one little venture with a radio promotion company that really soured us on that whole experience early on, and
was that here locally, domestic, or was
it was here in the States. For them to get a new track of the week on some station and act like they invented water or something,
Right.
and nothing happened, and
Yeah.
then to just disappear on you, they're just looking for an easy catch, and it's just really, that's really all I want to say about it.
No, I
really
get it, man.
slimy.
You know what though, man? Anymore though, dude, nobody. And maybe I'm all wet. I don't think so though, man. Nobody listens to radio.
I don't.
I don't listen to radio. I mean, the first thing, I got a couple. Like when I get in my truck, I got like 3 steps: turn the key on, plug my phone in, pop
And
Spotify
go
on.
to
Right, I'm gonna listen to
Spotify.
whatever I want to
Yeah.
listen to. I'm gonna ask Siri to play whatever I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to the radio because I don't want to listen to commercials. I don't listen to that. So I think.
I mean, I think it's a dying format. It has been. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know the numbers, but it feels like it is. I don't know a whole lot of people who listen to radio.
When's the last time you listened to radio?
I couldn't tell you.
The only time I ever listened to radio, and this is the only good excuse for it, is when my little granddaughter has my phone back in the back seat. And so I have to listen to, radio. And and every time I'm doing it, I'm like, I hate this.
And sometimes it's better just to be in silence.
It is. Yeah. I don't ever do that.
So is it groundswell for you? Is it grassroots? How is your following building wherever you're going?
Yeah, I think really any success that we've had can be traced back to word of mouth and just sheer hustle, mainly on Chris's part, just people telling other people about it and them coming to shows and streaming it. The streaming has helped because people will listen to something in the same genre, Rival Sons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that a lot of times they were listening to Rival Sons, and when that album ran out, it played stuff in a similar style, and any of that blues rock stuff or that, rootsy rock stuff, just kind of really helps, the thing about like XM and stuff like that is, and really radio stations, like, if the Black Crowes came out today, which we're all big, huge Black Crowes fans,
Absolutely.
I don't know where I don't know where they would be played, especially like on Sirius XM.
Right.
It's like either Bluesville, which is kind of blues purist thing, and we've had some luck there, but and then the rock stuff is like, really heavy stuff, like Octane and stuff like that. There's just not a home for us. There's no, and I think Rival Sons, the same thing, I've never heard them on the radio here, they've opened for Black Sabbath, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. I mean, they've had the biggest tours that a band could get, and no attention, no traction, I'm sure there's some places where there are, curated DJs, people that are actually picking new stuff instead of the corporate rock playlist. Here's the latest,
But those keep dwindling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're few and far between, and
that's one of the reasons I brought up the Blackberry Smoke, is they're kind of, to me, that I can see those playing in the same. You guys remind that driving guitar and and I love, like I said, I love Blackberry Smoke, and
I think they did it the same way. It was the grinding,
grassroots,
grassroots,
and and they're the same way. I think you're going to grow the way you guys have because of the golly, you guys are so good.
Does it?
I'm not trying to give you like lip service. Like, you guys are fantastic when it comes to talented.
So would you choose
musicians.
the path that you are walking down right now? Or if somebody said, you know what, you just do a little TikTok clip and you're going to be headlining 10,000 seat rooms tomorrow, which path would you choose?
Well, I don't know. I mean, probably the sustained organic growth, because that other thing just seems like a fleeting moment. It can disappear as fast as it shows up. And I think, building it that way, I think it's less likely to dissipate. And I'm just more interested in being honest and genuine. And I think people see that. And I think that's why Blackberry Smoke is successful.
Sure.
I mean, that's who they are. I don't. I'm a grown man. I don't need to be making TikTok clips. I know that's a part of it. And, all
something I'm being forced to do every day now.
Yeah,
it's rough too. And I didn't even know anything about it, so I just started. So my son Sam came to me and he was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm sorry, man, but if you want to do this," and we wanted to grow. He's like, "But you got to get on TikTok and you got to do these shorts and these reels."
Yeah,
he's like, "That's what people watch." And like we did in the first one, like, God, we were like, "Wow, okay, maybe he's right." So we started listening and we've done that, and it does help you grow organically, because it gives people, the thing it does is it gives people a taste, and then it'll,
I'm sure it's awesome. And I know Chris does a lot of that stuff, and I'm just glad to hang out under my rock and be the beneficiary of all that hard work.
And I think there's no replacement for hard work. What you guys do, it's hard work.
There's
no replacement for that. For sustainability.
And I don't mean, I agree. Like, I don't think that should be your way to fame or whatever, is to get on there, because there's a lot of people who have done that, and they're kind of, and most of them are kind of one and done. Some have stuck. Usher found Bieber online, and then that Kane Brown was just like a YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
A YouTube singer.
I mean, there's definitely
it just
instances
depends.
there.
Yeah, it just depends on what it does. It is. I mean, when you think about it, from a logical standpoint, you're going from, we'll just use YouTube. There's 300 million subscribers to YouTube. So you're just giving yourself such a opportunity to hit such a, you're not going to hit all those people, but it's a huge audience that you can tap into. And so I think that's why people do it so much. But I agree where it's different. And it's not like, the times have changed so much, man, in any kind of, anything. We can even look at the legacy news is going away. Nobody gets their news from watching the news. We get our news on podcasts, interviews, YouTube
my
clips.
parents couldn't believe that I cut the cord of cable. Like, where do you get your news? I don't need cable anymore. I get my news elsewhere.
All I watch is YouTube and Netflix and Paramount and whatever. But so we haven't got to talk about this yet. Brian can join. I don't know, Brian. Let me ask you something, man. Are you a Cobra Kai fan from the?
I know what it is, but that's it.
You've not watched it?
No.
Were you a Karate Kid fan back in the day?
Am I gonna get in trouble?
No, man.
Be as honest as you can.
It was all right back
then.
Okay. I don't know
Okay.
if I could,
rock with it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so mean, but even watching Cobra Kai and even back then, dude, I wanted Daniel to get punched in the face. I can't stand Daniel.
Not a fan of Daniel.
Daniel.
Okay.
I loved it so much when him and Johnny would get mad at each other, and Johnny would punch him or something. Laura's sitting there saying, "Stop saying that." I'm like, "Punch him in the face, Johnny." So I love Johnny. That's what it was.
Okay.
And for several, I've always loved him, even back in the day. And then found out he's Johnny's a real faithful guy. The guy who plays him,
William Zabka.
William Zabka. And he actually went to a friend of mine who pastors a church out in California's church. And a lot of people went to that church because it's in Burbank. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, we finished it. And
don't you think they
it was
wrapped
really
it up
good,
nice?
dude. It was good.
They brought it back around.
I kind of called it. I said, man. So as soon as Robbie got his knee blowed out, I was like, Miguel's going to fight for Cobra Kai, and he's going to come back, and he's going to beat this big dude. That dude was huge. Yeah, so anyway, I do think they brought it together.
They tied it
good.
all in,
and
it ended nicely.
It was good. I'm glad that we watched it. And obviously, dude, I watched 15 episodes that are like 45 minutes long. Yeah. We watched it like
you invested
3
some time.
days.
You invested some time in that small window.
Like every little moment we had, we were like, hey, let's watch an episode here. Let's watch an episode there.
So now you know our guilty pleasure.
I got you. I got mine too, But.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. What do you watch?
I like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's such a good show, man. Larry David is a genius.
Larry David is funny.
I love it, man. I love it.
And so much of that is improv.
Yeah, I
think it's a very loosely based storyline, and then so much of that
go out there and do
script.
It seems like it. Yeah, I love it. And I like Black Mirror, no, not the ones that are too the latest season, the first one is just so heavy and dark. I like the ones that aren't that dark, especially before bedtime. My wife is like, can we watch Curb instead of black, we call it Dark Mirror, just instead of Black Mirror. But
so what platforms that stuff on, like Apple
Curb is on HBO Max, and then I think Black Mirror it's Netflix.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't heard of Black Mirror. Now, Curb
it's almost like a modern day Twilight Zone. I think I'm probably butchering that real bad, but it's every episode's a different scenario.
I would probably like that, and then I would probably dig that.
And it's real like a state on society. Like Black Mirror is
the phone, the technology, and it always goes wrong. There's always
So do you know what Black Mirror, just that name reminded me of?
What?
We need to find out if he's watched, and he needs to watch it if he hasn't.
What?
Blackbird.
Ooh, Blackbird's really good.
Do you have Apple TV? Watch Blackbird?
Yeah. No, I don't. I used to.
Okay. It's on Apple TV. It's really good.
Yeah, just get with.
Based on a true story.
I'm not saying I'm gonna do anything bad, but just get with me after we're done here. Well, you got to watch Blackbird, dude. It's really good. So it's the guy. What's his name? And come on, man. We just talk about it all the time.
I don't know, dude. He was in Cobra Kai.
I know his name's Stingray in Cobra Kai, and now it's got me messed up. So this dude, man, he's a heavy set actor. The people he's played is he played in Cobra Kai as a guy, but I know you don't watch that. But did you ever watch the special little TV movie or whatever they did about the Atlanta Olympic bombing?
No.
So this guy played Richard Jewell.
Okay.
But the dude's really good.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, Paul Walter Hauser. Show him the picture of the guy. Because I bet he's seen him before.
Does he look familiar?
Oh, yeah.
So he's so good. But so, dude, he plays the serial killer who, to throw the cops off of him, and I don't want to tell you too much, but he's a serial confessor. So he keeps confessing so that the cops think, oh, he's full of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then anyway, he ends up going to prison for one murder. There's many more, and they get this pretty boy to go in and to get information. Like I said, I don't want to give too much, but it's really cool, and it's all in Indiana and Illinois.
This is
It's a true story.
Yeah.
And they said it was really really close and super tight to what the real events were. So it's called Blackbird on Apple TV. We got to turn you onto that. Man, that's a great show. What about like Stranger Things, anything like that? You watch any of that?
Yeah. Was a big fan of that. I thought that was entertaining.
There's one more season coming out of that.
Yeah.
It
might be the
one
last.
that we watch. I really like. I don't know, and there's some ridiculousness they put into it, but from what I understand, it's pretty close to what the game is. We watched The Last of Us. I guess it was a PlayStation game, and we heard there were going to be 2 seasons of it. But now the second season is ended, and they're like, oh, yeah, there was no way we could fit it all, which is just there's 2 games. First season was the first game. The second season was supposed to be and now they're saying it may be like 4 seasons by the time we got this girl all through this story or whatever. But it's a pretty cool show, man. Kind of not quite Walking Deadish, but sort of like these people with fungus and all this, and then there's this one girl that is the cure. It's pretty cool. If you, I know that the boys are always like, oh yeah, the video game says this. I know they know all about the video game. They don't watch the show. Yeah. That's one thing about my boys. Sam does a little bit, but none of my boys watch any. They don't watch any TV besides Sam.
But anyhow, so you know how it is. I mean, you've been there. You know what that's like. And it's like, oh, man, this is... Well, 3 more hours from now, I'll be done.
Yeah.
2 more hours from now, I'll be done.
Hey, everybody, we're back. And Jimmy and Brian have just been talking. And so I'm just going to let you guys kind of continue on. It was interesting.
Was it interesting?
And so I figured, man, we'll just cut back in mid-conversation here and see how it goes.
That's that's what we call inside baseball.
Nobody
wants to know how the sausage is made.
Baseball.
That's right.
No, I don't think that's necessarily true. I know I do. I'm interested. I know from, us being so close how that has gone from, playing music goes from something that you love, and I still think you love it.
Oh, I do.
But at the same time, for you, a lot of times it's a job.
It's turned into that somewhat, and it's become somewhat of a grind because it's kind of like, I don't know. We've almost now. Let me ask you this, because I feel like I've reversed a lot. I started off doing nothing but original, and like that was the goal. I'm not gonna do covers. I'm gonna play these songs that I had written. If they suck, cool. At least I tried it, whatever. But then, somehow, somewhere I shifted into, well, maybe playing covers isn't so bad.
Sure.
There's good money in it. And really, I don't travel anymore. 99.9% of my gigs are here. Hey, I don't even know what that point.
Let me interject real quick on the covers though. And and maybe this is just me, but I think there's a big difference now that you do. I think it's better to go out and hear somebody play country covers than it is to go out and try to listen to somebody do rock covers. And for me, let me explain it a little bit. No, not just for you, for anybody. Like to me, if I'm going to go hear a rock band, I'm not saying I hate like the covers, but I do like hearing the original,
like the original proper.
I mean, yeah. Okay. And so, but
you don't like my you don't like my version of Living on a Prayer acoustically?
No, I do. I'm not saying that I don't like.
I know
them.
you don't. I know you love it.
I think it's more conducive if you're around here, if you're going to play covers, to play country.
Yeah, no,
covers,
I know what you're saying, and that's what I've fallen into. I don't want to say fallen into. I enjoy it. It just sometimes. Like I said, I'm playing this Friday and this Saturday, and then next week I'm playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's like like you said, it can become somewhat of a job. So,
Brian, let me ask you this: what is your schedule like when you? So you're getting ready to go 3 weeks. How many of those nights are you playing?
We have more days off this tour than we've ever had, and so we're gonna have we're going to be there, I guess, actually 19 days, and we have only 10 shows and 9 days off. But we have a lot of traveling and crisscrossing, going between the different countries and over to the UK. So that's more than we've ever had. Usually, it's more like 3 weeks with 2 days off. So we play.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
How long are you guys playing a night?
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half?
Yep. The festivals are usually an hour set.
Okay.
But our standard set, both domestically and for our shows, a 90-minute set plus encore.
So getting back to it, am I right? Did the roles reverse there? Did you start off doing covers, or did you start off doing originals?
I was in cover bands that did originals. I was always the guy. Hey, when are we gonna start writing?
Yeah.
I wasn't. No one wants to play for an empty room, and that's a tough nut to crack as an original band. And that just meant back in the day that meant playing for $50 and through a substandard PA for the 7 friends you can guilt into coming out to see you. At least in my experience.
Sure.
And but when you have an audience, even if they're just there to drink or hook up or whatever they're there for, I always thought, man, we can sneak some of our own songs in there and polish them, and that's kind of what we did with a couple of bands that I was in. And but yeah, I was never and still not above playing covers. I'm just lucky to be in a situation right now where we're not doing that, but the once and future cover band drummer, I'm cool with doing that. I think as you get a little bit older, the list of things you're not willing to do gets a little bit longer. And I really don't want to play 3 1-hour sets of stuff that I'm not enthusiastic about. And I saw this changing, back in the day, like, you were talking about the country thing. I don't know what, because you'd play songs like that were hot on the radio, new rock songs, back in the 90s, it was Matchbox 20 and Third Eye Blind and stuff like that.
And ironically, that's coming back around again.
Yeah, but it was stuff with, wooden instruments on it. And then everything started to be like, everything was either super heavy or hip hop. And I don't know what, as far as playing the hits, it just seems like it would be more easy to do the country thing,
Yeah.
I'm glad you knew what I meant by that, because I didn't want it to come. I love rock and roll.
I know.
I know. I'm not worried about offending you.
Well, it took Brian to make it make sense.
Well, that's kind of what I meant, and maybe that's because of where we live.
Well, I mean, just I think overall, what's the last big rock song that a band would cover if you're doing that?
That's a good question.
I mean, you think Seven Nation Army? That was 2004.
I see, and I would have said something probably by like the Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
maybe.
You got a handful of bands.
Yeah. There's not a lot. That's what I was talking about. We talked a little bit. I asked you when we were off, when we were during the break. We kept talking, by the way, but I asked you if you had played Japan, and you said you hadn't yet. But one of the things that the reason Trevor loves Japan so much is because that culture over there, like rock and roll, is good, is big, right? They love rock and roll, and so that's one of the reasons he wants to stay over there all the time. Like he goes over there and he sees like, man, who was that? You are gonna know who's that guy that he.
So
the one he said, by the way, this is a man.
Yeah, I'm
Pretty
sure it was Pretty Boy Floyd.
That's right.
He was
seen that episode.
Super stoked to see Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah, but the first time they were over there, they seemed like I think Paul Gilbert was over there.
I don't doubt
something.
I don't doubt
he was
it
playing
at all.
something. I don't know that they went and seen him.
Mr.
But they
Big
knew he was
really
there.
big.
Paul Gilbert's like the president of Tokyo, dude. You wouldn't believe how like they fall over rock and roll over there.
And he's amazing. He's an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, of course. Dude, that was a fun one too. So where'd we go? Knoxville?
Oh, no, we went to Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, okay. Wow, that's a big difference. I don't know why.
It was,
Knoxville.
Yeah.
It's like 6 hours compared to like 1 hour.
Yeah.
It felt so long.
Yeah.
But we did this for Trevor, but we did it for all of us when we went and seen Yngwie Malmsteen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Dude, it was crazy.
It was,
This theater was maybe 700 seats. Maybe. Do you think there were maybe 400 people there? 500?
Maybe 5. Yeah, I would say
and it's
probably
like,
500
can you
people.
believe like these people are standing in greatness in the guitar world? It's Yngwie.
Yeah.
Yngwie Malmsteen was playing this theater.
Trevor wasn't. He did not
Bowling,
care
Kentucky.
about nothing
No,
else that night.
no.
He was
locked in,
hanging on every note, dude. He was like
locked in,
just in. And then then Mikey, dude, what cracked me up was Mikey had no idea what, didn't care. He just so happy Trevor was loving it.
Yeah,
Michael's over there. You guys were pushing forward, wasn't that there?
I made my way.
You made your way up
to
there.
the front.
Did you get a pick, or you try to get a pick?
I tried. Well, I did some taboo things there where I was trying real hard to get a pick.
I just remember ending up at a Waffle House at like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
on
that
the
was
way
good
home.
food. That was good. Yeah, that's what you do. But no, I tried to get a pick, couldn't. Tried to get Yngwie's attention, and
now when we say pick,
couldn't.
we're PICK, right? A guitar.
Yngwie
is a famous guitar player for those that don't know, and he throws out picks while he's playing.
Well, and he had his mic stand right there, and it was lined with picks, and I was trying to talk my neighbor into tilting that over for me because my arms weren't long enough, and he wouldn't.
I
love
probably
it. Not the cool thing.
I love it because every song of Yngwie would be like a super high note, and then 20 minutes of
the thing about it, he had vocalists in the past, and I think eventually he's like, you know what, I can do this, and he's like, I only need to sing a verse, and then I'm going to do a solo the rest of the song, and that's what he did.
And it literally was that. It was like a note here or there that he would sing out, and then he'd just start playing more.
He probably, if he was getting paid by the note that night, he made a couple $1 million.
Yeah, I know.
And I can tell you this: if they deducted for a bad note, he didn't get any. That dude does not miss notes.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I've never seen
next level.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a guitar player.
Even if you don't play guitar, man, I don't know how you could.
Even if you've seen him play like on TV or whatever, it's not the same.
And I know not everybody's into shred or whatever, but man, it's just you're looking at Michael Jordan right there,
the pinnacle,
dunking.
Yeah.
You're looking at Steph Curry making 3-point shots.
He was running around stage, dancing, being sexy, throwing. He's wearing spandex on top of spandex. It's like, how's this dude concentrate? And he never missed a note. He never looks down. He's always looking around. And dude, not one muted note, not one imperfection at all. It was just like perfect. It was like, wow,
it was good.
This guy.
It was a good show.
Every waking moment with his instrument.
I wonder how much that guy plays, or I don't know now, but how much did it take?
How much did he put into
that level?
Man,
and give it to him, and I'll give it. This is kind of how Trevor was, because you're talking, and it goes back to what we were talking about a while ago. Is the thing about Trevor, which is going to hurt him, I think, and he's stubborn about. But I'm proud of him for being stubborn about it. It's like, dude, he will not get out of his lane.
He will not deviate.
Like Travis will say, "I'll go play with a country band." The cool, just
obviously
to get out
he's
and play.
He played with me.
Yeah,
I know he doesn't love that.
Trevor's
music.
like, if we're not playing death metal or whatever he's into, then I'm not playing. Then he's not playing. He's
stuck to it.
He is, man. He's into whatever he's into. He's not gonna, he don't sell out. Which is, like I said, kind of goes back to what we're talking about, and about you guys being able to play your own songs instead of just covers. And I do like that about you, because you still do that. You will slip in originals still, even though you're out playing the stuff. And the funny thing is most of the people, and this is where, going back to a while ago where he was talking about like people coming in and talking and not really paying attention while you're playing. I think that's why they like going out to just cover bands. They don't care. They're there to dance a little bit, drink a lot of bit, talk to their friends or whatever. And so the band to them is like, a lot of times, how many times you ended up someplace and you're like, oh, this band's playing, but I didn't even know they were going to be here or whatever, right? So, and I think it all plays hand in hand with that whole Evansville thing.
Yeah, and I find myself too catering to the room. Like I will change the set on the fly. Well, let's be honest, I don't even have a set list. I just start playing.
But
you read the room. You read the room, and then you start playing the songs you think they want to hear. How can I hold their attention for another 3 minutes and 30 seconds?
Yeah,
I think I can do this song to hold them, to keep them there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, it's entertainment, and if it helps people escape the woes of their day, then that's every bit as valid as any artsy-fartsy jazz fusion.
Yeah.
It all serves the same purpose. It's just entertainment. You can't get too precious about it. And I didn't mean to be too critical of the audiences.
No.
It's just,
No, I don't think it's critical. I think that's fair, man. I know from doing, I played a little bit of music, but I know from doing, other things, being up public speaking or whatever. I don't want to say it's hurtful, but you notice when people aren't paying, they're like, well, I'm putting everything into this for you.
You think about that.
Right, you're invested.
You're sharing a piece of you
Yeah.
with that audience, whether it be in speaking or playing or singing a lyric or whatever. You're sharing who you are with these people. And if they're not paying attention to you, it hurts a little bit.
Stings a little bit.
It hurts a little bit.
That's dumb.
Yeah, one of my friends, he said it. I can't remember how exactly he said it, but it was very eloquent. He was just saying, the essence of what he was saying was that as good as a good gig feels, it doesn't have the horsepower that a bad gig has. And I think that's very true.
It is. It is.
The success of a good gig is a very fleeting moment, but the sting of a bad gig, man, that's got a long arm.
You remember
that hangs
it a
around.
lot longer.
That hangs around.
But something to help keep me sane, and I can't remember who said it to me. It actually might have been one of my old guitar teachers. I don't know if it was Ron Pritchard or not. Which, man, Ron Pritchard, for all you
rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, yeah.
He was, man, such a good man, such a great player. I think he was 90 years old. But anyway, I don't know if it was Ron or one of my other teachers. It might have been Renato Berturi over at U of E. He said, you're never as good or as bad as you thought you were.
I've had a guy tell me
it's
that.
like those times where you get off the stage and like, this was the most amazing set I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, yeah, you were good tonight. Or then you get off and you're like, man, that sucked.
Yeah.
I should not even play anymore. Yep. And you'll have people come up and say, that was amazing.
Yeah. That's one thing you've always said. Yeah. You're never as good as you thought you were, and you're never as bad as you thought you were, right? And I think that's really true from a musician standpoint, because just being I'm a decent guitar player, and just from doing that to, like, if you're a musician, you hear those mistakes.
I saw a meme or something like that. It's like, musicians hear mistakes, people hear music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the only way people know you make those mistakes usually is because every musician does it.
And isn't it the worst?
Makes a face,
the reaction.
Yeah, isn't it the worst when you have a bunch of musician buddies out in the crowd?
Yeah.
And you're like,
sure.
Yeah.
Do you get sick of me looking at you going?
You play a little different. Yeah.
Jimmy hit a bad note, and I'll give him a look and hit him.
And that's the thing too. And it's not you, but there's certain people in my life who don't play or sing anything, and they're at shows, and I'll botch something or whatever, and they're looking at me. It's like, man, get up here and do it. Come here and do this, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
I worked really hard to suck this bad.
You don't know how hard I worked to suck.
Do you know how much I didn't practice to be able to do this?
That's true.
One thing I've been doing, I've been doing this for a couple of years, is I video every set just with my phone. I'm not worried
Brian,
about.
I don't think I could do that to myself.
You know what it does for me? It just, if I think something's good or bad, I don't have to, let's say I make a mistake. I don't have to relive what happened. Was that me? Who messed up that note?
Yeah.
I don't have to relive it while I'm trying to play another song 15 minutes later.
I'll go back and watch that later.
I can re-examine this, and it's just an opportunity to clean that up and get better. And that way, more in the moment
that's actually really good.
I don't think there's very many of those, though.
Yeah, I don't think you go back and look at too many.
I don't think there's very many
notes.
of those. Here's what I think, and here's what I loved about seasoned musicians, and like I said, I can hear it usually if something happens.
Yeah.
Here's the difference between a seasoned musician and or somebody who's used to playing out, is if you make mistakes, you just fix it.
Yeah.
Good musicians will just fix it.
Play out of it.
They'll play out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've made that an art form.
Right. Well, you have. You are. That's true. But that's a good thing. I think that's what makes them. No,
it'd be better if I practiced.
Well, but that would take all kind of energy and stuff.
It would.
But everybody, no matter how good you are, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, especially playing out.
It's
live.
like jazz, man. If I play a wrong note, I will play it again.
So so to be able to play out of it, to make it. Make it fit. Don't just stop, freeze. Like, how many times have you heard, I don't know why, but it seems like church bass players are the worst. Like, when they make a mistake, they just stop. It's like, no, just keep going.
Oh no,
Yeah, you
that's the
can't
best.
stop.
That's
Yeah.
the best instrument to play out of.
Yeah.
You will land. Just you got to land
just
on
land
that
on the next one.
root or the fourth or
Yeah.
the fifth. If they're coming at some
Yeah.
point, just land on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never stop. Never just stop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I was like, what happened? And then you got the, the drummer's like, whoa, wait, what happened? And the guitar player's trying to figure out what.
But the good news is, man, and this drummer can attest to it, man. As long as the drums are solid,
yeah,
you can play your way out.
you
of
can,
anything.
man. You're
Yeah.
right.
You know?
Yeah. I try to tell my students, like, if you're practicing and you something happens, like your phone dings or your headphones fall out, keep going. That's an opportunity to practice that situation that's going to happen and refine your processes. The other night I didn't put my iPad in airplane mode, and I use it for like a click track for counting off songs and stuff, and it links to the phone or whatever. Well, I get a text, and so it comes through my ears, at ear splitting level, and it distracted me for a second. I went in the wrong part of the song, and I'm like, okay, well, this isn't going to happen again, so this just refine the process a little bit there.
Yeah.
So just try
So
to
let me ask you this, because you just said it. Do you always play to a click?
No,
Okay.
not always, but the majority of the songs, I find it very comforting, especially when there's travel and lack of sleep involved.
Yeah.
Especially for three people. That one guy's, slept great and he's had 7 Red Bulls, and and the other guy didn't sleep at all, and he's got a cold. He's on cold medicine, and you're traveling. So it's just good to have that. And another thing, everything's on YouTube the next day. Everything.
Yeah.
So I just really find it comforting to have that, especially just for counting out the songs.
It's hard to play to a click.
I was gonna say I don't play to a click because that click lies to me. That click is not a truth teller to me. How can I be wrong on this?
This ain't the timing I remember.
Yeah, this metronome's defective, slowing down.
Oh man, dude, that's hilarious. Well, I know I've been wanting to ask something, and before I forget, I want to get to this, man, because to me, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a little kind of not a fanboy, but I am impressed with the guy, and that is you guys kind of got into a relationship and discovered or whatever with Joe Bonamassa, right?
Yeah.
So how did that play out, man? So you guys went and played on his cruise, right?
Yeah, we have. We're getting ready to do another one in September.
Is that a
the
second or
Alaskan
third one?
cruise. Yeah. We've done another cruise. He wasn't part of the Rock Legends,
Okay.
but we did his Mediterranean cruise. And firstly, I'm just so grateful for those opportunities that we wouldn't have if it weren't for Joe. And then, he heard our song "Anyway the Wind Blows," and shared it on his social media. This is my favorite song of whatever year that was, 2021, or favorite new discovery or something like that, and it just really did wonders for us,
You know what I think Joe needs on that Alaskan cruise?
What's
A
that?
couple podcasters out there covering the
Oh, that'd be a great
covering
idea.
the music
Yeah,
every night.
Yeah. So when he was in town, he got Chris up, and they hung out during the day before the show, and Chris got to play his guitars and hear his rig and all that guitar player stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, he's been great to us, and not just us, just so many other bands in that genre that wouldn't have had those opportunities to do those cruises and stuff. And
That's cool to hear.
Yeah. I mean, he's really a champion of that art form.
So he's a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've never met him personally, but I know Chris has several times, and they talk occasionally. And just
Was he on the cruise?
Yeah, the first one, and then the one coming up. Yeah, he was.
But
there.
you didn't get to meet him on the cruise even?
No, didn't see him. I'm sure he can't go anywhere. Just everybody there has like on a Joe Bonamassa T-shirt.
Yeah, and
they're-
it's limited space, so
That would
you can't
suck,
go
just
too
being
many
stuck
places.
in the cabin,
Yeah.
right? Because you
Yeah.
can't go nowhere without being bothered.
Yeah. The only time I saw him, he was on stage. I think Chris saw him in the casino. But I can't imagine, what it would be like for him to try to go out, and that.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it like the Joe Bonamassa cruise?
It
so
is, yeah.
Probably not walking around too much without getting.
I love hearing about it when celebrity musicians are super cool.
I do too.
We had
do
Billy
too.
Bolin, he was the chief of police for the 257th largest city in the United States. That's
In
Evansville,
case-
just
in
so
case you
know.
didn't
Oh
know.
yeah.
So anyway, dude, he in his life he's a huge Garth Brooks fan. And so he went and found Garth's house. Him and Garth are like buddies now. They're friends.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
He did it when he found him the first time in high school, and then he did it again for something else. And, you know, Garth has a lot to do with like donating
very,
to like
very charitable.
He's very charitable to like the Mickey's Kingdom.
Oh,
and
wow.
to,
Cool.
911. And I don't know how the money was allocated, so he might not have given any of those things, but Billy runs a bunch of. One thing about Billy that I love, I said that I was so impressed with him about growing up with him is, his law enforcement career is cool, and he's been the chief of 2 police departments. But man, that cat does so much for the community.
Yeah.
Just out of the goodness of his heart, man. He's not getting anything extra for that. You know, he's done the 911 Gives Hope, which is toys for kids at Christmas time. He does the Guns and Hoses. You know, he started that, which is raises money for that. He has a friend on the police force, and his little girl had this. A rare condition. I can't remember what it's called. He told us what it was. And so that's what Guns and Hoses raises money for is disabled children. Garth, he met Garth. Garth wasn't able to come, and what he was asking was, could you come play this show because we're trying to raise all this money or whatever. And Garth was like, man, I just signed this contract with Vegas. It's when he just signed it to play Vegas. And he's like, I can't play anywhere else. He was like, but I'll get back with you. And Billy's like, you know, I thought, oh, well, man, he couldn't do it or whatever. So no big deal. Well, Billy goes home. And at some time later, Garth's assistant calls him and was like, hey, you know, grab 2 of your friends and you and your wife go to the airport. There's tickets waiting for you. You know, flew him out to Vegas, man, let him watch the show. They were backstage with him, did all this stuff. And Garth asked him not to tell, you know, what he'd done because
he didn't give us an amount, but he said just put it this way, he is a very charitable man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So pretty cool, man, that Garth spent the time. Like I said, these 2 teenagers, we were in high school, and Billy just showed up at the guy's gate. I was like, hey, I'm a fan.
And he stopped to talk to him and thanked him for being a fan, thanked him for listening to his music.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, he drove out to Oklahoma
when he moved to
with
Oklahoma.
a few of his cop buddies, figured out where he lived, stopped at his gate again.
Well,
and
do you remember the story, though? The story was that they were talking about going to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then a guy come by speeding.
He ran
or
into
something,
a guy from that town.
and they pulled him over, and the guy had an Oklahoma plate, and they're
Yeah.
like, just wondering, where are you at from Oklahoma? And the guy said, well, I'm from this place. And Billy said, oh, okay, cool. We're going to ask you if you knew the Tulsa area because we're going to go see Garth Brooks. He's like, oh, dude. He said, I just said that city because I didn't think you'd know what this little city is. He was like, I live like 20 minutes from where Garth Brooks lives or whatever. And so, and he's like, and I have a guy that works on something for him. He was like, I can call him, see if I can, you know, and that guy that they pulled over, I'm assuming he got off without a ticket.
I would think,
Probably
right?
so.
Yeah.
But anyway, he hooked them up, and then it was all right, and they went down
Yeah.
there, and it was legit, man. And they met Garth again.
That was like a divine providence kind of thing.
It was,
Wow.
man. That had to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
you know, it because there's no way, you know, they're sitting there talking about, and that was the thing to raise money for kids, you know. So I do think God probably had a hand in saying,
I think
hey,
so,
you know,
man. A lot of good came out of
I'm
that.
going to bless this union.
Yeah.
And now Billy's friends with Garth. You know, I know a lot of people. We even talked about how a lot of people don't like Garth now, and I got there was a few nasty comments on there.
Oh, yeah.
Asking about, you know, because he talked good about Garth.
Oh. People, hey man, people gonna hate.
Well, you know, I get it. People have the right to their opinion. It's cool.
Well, everybody does.
But I'm talking to a guy that has personal experience with the man.
Yeah,
That's
and
who I'm going to listen to.
Nothing
Right?
but kind
Yeah.
It's the same thing, you know, with Joe Bonamassa. I'm sure people think a certain way. I'm sure there were occurrences or whatever where people weren't fans, but you guys have had nothing but good experience.
Yeah, I think sometimes with that celebrity thing, people forget that they're people. You know, and that it's not real, and that they're immune to those comments and those words. You know, it's something that the majority of those people, I don't think they would ever say to their face, or even they probably wouldn't even speak it. But it just seems anonymous when you throw it into some.
They'd be the first one up there asking for an autograph, is what
Yeah.
they'd be.
Yeah.
You know, usually because it's somebody, but it's easy, like I said, it's easy to say stuff. And the funny thing is that one's over stupid political stuff, right? Which just has wrecked the whole world. We talk about that. It's just so dumb how people can't get along. Like, I don't care who you. It's like, I get it. We all have different things and different things that we stand for and stand on. But like you just said, we're all people. The guy's a person, and he had a choice, man. He could have told them 2 kids to get lost, and, you know, and he could have told those 2 cops, hey, man, you know, I ain't got time for this.
Yeah.
And that's not what he chose. He didn't do it once. This was quite a bit of time in between these 2 experiences. And Garth treated him the same. Both. He didn't remember. Billy told him, he's like, I came when I was a kid. And he was like, oh, I remember that. But he didn't know who he was right away. But 2 times he went.
And he was consistent.
Approached him, and he was consistent in the way that he treated
where he
him.
lives.
Yeah.
Which is even crazier.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of people get, dude, I'm not going to know how to react to that. I'm like, what are you doing?
If somebody showed up your house.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Because, man, that's another thing about being, how much, you know, people get mad at celebrities for being kind of short or testy, but how often are they interrupted when they're just trying to, just trying to live life? Yeah. They're just trying to go, they're already providing something that you apparently like, right? And whether they're an actor or a singer or whatever. I told you, I try to keep that in mind. We seen Lavelle Crawford. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a stand-up comedian. Did you ever watch Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
He's the big black dude. He's the bodyguard.
Oh, okay.
He's a stand-up comedian. He's hilarious. Me and Lauren went to Punta Cana with some friends of ours, Adam and Amber, and me and Adam were sitting down eating like some Wendy's in the airport, and we looked up and we seen this big guy walking down the corridor, and I was like, Adam. He was like, what? I was like, that's Lavelle Crawford. And so he looked at us. He's seen us looking at him, but we just did like this, and he was just like, what's up, fellas?
Just acknowledged.
We just let him keep on walking.
Yeah.
I had to fight every bit of myself to run up and say, Lavelle,
did I tell you
sign this?
That one time in the Opry Mills Mall?
Chris Stapleton?
Oh, thanks for stealing my thunder.
You asked if you told me.
Oh, I did ask you.
But go ahead and tell the story. It's still good.
So, you know, Sarah had my youngest son, Kane, in the Lego store, and they were looking for Legos. Mikey was playing a basketball tournament down there, so we had time to kill. We went to the Opry Mills Mall, and I'm sitting there outside the Lego store because I'd had my fill of seeing the Legos. I'd seen all the Legos, everyone there was to see, and I was just standing there.
Did you see the Eggo Lego?
I saw the Eggo.
Did you say Lego my Eggo?
Lego my Eggo. So I'm standing out there, and I'm a Chris Stapleton fanboy, period, man. Like, you know, if I could sound like anybody, it'd probably be that guy, you know. Anyway, so
I don't know, it's tight, you know.
And this. You know
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, this is a few years ago, before like his super stardom. I may have been one of the only few people in the mall that knew who he was. He's walking down the mall unattended by anybody. It's him and his little girl. He's got his little girl's hand, and he's just walking very unassuming, and he probably saw the look in my eye. You know, just I turned into JoJo, the idiot circus clown. So my eyes lit up, and he was like, I could see fear in his eyes, like, oh, come on, man. And I just said, hey, man, I love your stuff. And you could see the relaxation in his face.
Yeah.
And he was like, thanks, man. Like, just very humble. And I was like, man, I wasn't going to interrupt that moment with him and his little girl that he probably doesn't get to spend a whole lot of time with.
Though?
Yeah.
I wanted to so bad. A friend of mine said
Can I get a hug?
A friend of mine said he would have pushed that little girl out of the way. Pose for a picture. But anyhow, I wanted to respect that time with his daughter and him because he probably didn't get a whole lot.
I think
of
celebrities
that.
Probably appreciate that more than you know.
Well, like I said,
sure,
I could see
man.
his face relax real quick, and they went in the Lego store, and then I chased him in there, and then I got arrested. No, I'm lying about that part.
They took me downtown, so I wasn't able to harass people like that. No, but you know, man, I do think it's you know, it's got to be awful to get mobbed or swarmed every time you leave the house. And so, but I was going to say, man, I think I would choose Chris Stapleton, but the other one, dude, Teddy Swims' voice.
I know. I knew where you were going.
You a Teddy Swims fan, Brian?
I know who he is. I've seen some of the YouTube videos and stuff. What a phenomenal singer.
Man. Oh, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
When he does I Can't Make You Love Me.
Oh.
Dude.
Man.
That guy. How does a white guy sing like that? What happened? What was God? Was God like, you know what? I'm a blessed one.
I'm blessed one.
I'm a blessed one.
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna let this white boy sing.
Teddy is the real deal, man.
Dude, he is the real deal. Yeah. He's got that soul, man.
He does.
I don't care what nobody says, man. White singers just ain't got that soul like black singers have. They just don't have it, man. It's just not in us.
Well,
I want it. We fake it.
We got Chris. We got Teddy.
I know, but even then, man, and they are. Teddy's sound, and both of them guys are guys who. They're white guys that can sing like that don't sound forced.
Yeah.
Most of the time it sounds forced. You know what I mean? It doesn't, where, man, black singers singing, that's just the dude is coming from somewhere that we ain't got. Yeah. It's just crazy, you know, how much talent that there is out there. Man, you go into churches, you want to hear the best music you ever heard, dude. Go to some of these churches, man. Like the Snake Salvation guy.
Oh,
dude, what's his name? Andrew Hamlin.
Yeah.
So this is a little bitty Brian, this little bitty Pentecostal snake handling church.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
And
West
dude,
Virginia maybe, or somewhere in Kentucky. I don't
somewhere in
know.
Kentucky or West Virginia, but
The Appalachia
This little-
area.
yeah, this little pastor named Andrew Hamlin, dude, how good. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Ricky Skaggs came to hear him
Wow.
at the church, and then was like, "Oh, I didn't know y'all had no snakes." And Ricky was out.
I'm good on that. I'll
It
sit
was
back
out.
here.
That's
Yeah.
the craziest show. We watched it. You know what's funny is that reel came up for some reason the other day
Oh,
where the
really?
boy got bit in the head.
Oh man.
And he was like, "God's gonna take care of me," and then he just passed out, and they had to take him to the
my
hospital.
gosh.
Yeah, dude, he took like a rattlesnake bite right to the head, dude. And hey, I'll just throw a little "thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God" out there. That's just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like if I go to a church and they break out snakes, I'm telling you that church is gonna have a new door in the shape of me.
Yeah.
I don't mess with snakes, man.
Oh yeah. You called them nope ropes. I like that.
They are
That's
nope
a
ropes. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the story where I know you've heard the story, but I'll tell it for the sake of telling it. Where we lived in this house over. It was right on the river here. It was in Newburgh,
Yeah.
which is a town close to here to Evansville that we're actually in Newburgh right now. Or we're in Chandlerburg, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story.
Right.
Anyway, the boys were little. I think the twins were probably maybe 7, 8 years old,
Mhm.
maybe 9, if that. Really young. So of course, if you got little boys have rubber snakes. It's just part of life, you know. My youngest son is 21 years old. They still have rubber snakes that I put on Laura's pillow and stuff sometimes, right? And then, and I'm not lying, I do. But she reached down to pick up one of their toy snakes, and that sucker started crawling.
Oh.
That was not a
Like,
toy.
whoa! In the house, bro.
In the house.
So then I
Oh.
took it outside, and
have
I was
to
like,
move.
little man,
I'd have to move.
I told this snake, you don't come back because
Yeah.
you ain't gonna like it next time. That next day, that little sucker was back in the house. So he became the headless horseman after that because I couldn't trust him anymore.
Yeah.
But
you gave him a shot.
out in that
You
yard.
tried.
But that little
Yeah.
snake was tiny, man.
He
Out
was
in that
just
yard-
trying to find
dude,
some
we
warmth.
had, I think they're chicken or rat snakes, them black
Yeah.
snakes we have around here.
Yeah.
Dude, they would be like 6 foot long, and they would like hang off you'd be like under the tree and look, and there'd be like a 6 foot long
Oh.
snake hanging off. I'll tell you where it is, Brian. Because to tell you where the area is, do you know where Knob Hill is?
Yeah.
So if you just barely pass Knob Hill going into Newburgh, there's a road right there where the old Kite Lumber used to be, and it goes right down to the river.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Phelps Drive. We lived
Yeah.
on a house on Phelps Drive. So
Yeah.
the river's all wild. And there's a field right across from our house that is now a big subdivision. And they were building that then.
And that
they
was
were
pushing
cleaning
Chasing
all
them
those.
out.
They
Yeah.
were pushing all them
was. Yeah.
snakes out of that field. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was crazy, man. That was I don't like snakes, man. I don't do that. What do you, Brian, as far as your, I know you play music, man, but on a more personal note, what are things you enjoy like doing, man? Like do you got any other hobbies that you do? Like I can tell you right now, like I fish, right? So
Right. Yeah. I know you fish. Man, I enjoy spending time with my wife, and I'm a dog person. We've got 3 rescues, and my wife does amazing work with the animal shelters. She will take the dog that's been there the longest,
That's awesome.
and she'll take him out on dog days out and annoy all her Facebook and social media friends until someone is guilted into adopting that dog.
Yeah.
And one dog she fostered, that she homed, a friend of ours in Florida ended up adopting him, and she had to talk the shelter into letting her take this dog to Florida. And she got a rental car, put like a tarp and waterproof sheets and all that stuff in this rental car, drove this dog down to Florida,
Wow.
and then flew home to get this dog a home. And then she started to work on the next dog. So chasing those dogs around takes up a lot of our time. But yeah, I just, I practice a lot. I love music, and that takes up a lot of my time. I teach and a couple other part-time jobs to make the ends meet. So really don't have a lot of time these days for recreation stuff. I like to camp, like to canoe and that kind of thing, but it just hasn't fit in the calendar,
it's hard to get that stuff in.
Yeah, I got 2 step kids, and one just graduated IU, another is will be starting his sophomore year.
I can't believe he's that old.
It's nuts, man.
It goes
it's
fast.
Crazy.
So
It goes fast.
let me tell you, man, I'll never forget going. I think it might have been that same show at Kevin's, and he before they played, they did a song where his son played. You remember that?
That
and
was
he was just a little boy.
That wasn't my stepson. That was another one of my students.
Oh, I thought it was
that
your
played.
stepson.
No,
Okay.
no, that was another.
Well, your stepson's a beast. He plays.
Yeah. He's kind of put it down for a little bit. You know, he's been DJing and stuff, and
That's cool.
he's got a couple albums on Spotify. Resonance is the name, and he's doing like EDM DJ things. You know, DJing parties and clubs and stuff up there in Bloomington, and you know, so he's doing that. I kind of secretly hope he will get back into something a little
Sure.
bit more organic, or
Yeah.
at least join the two worlds,
Sure.
you know, because he's got a great ear and a lot of natural talent.
Oh,
which
he's
is
a
something-
banger. He's a
Yeah.
banger. He was
Yeah.
good. No, he was. I mean, at one point when I thought he was probably your best student. I mean, he was.
You know, and really, I don't know that I showed him anything. I mean, he has so much natural ability, man. It just really, it's kind of disheartening. Like, you know, I used to wanted to be the best drummer in town, and when he's home, I'm not even sure I'm the best drummer in the house.
Would
you
he
know?
hang out in your studio? Does he spend much time there when he's home?
Yeah, he'll come in there, and it's usually when he's got a girl that he's interested in that
I see.
he'll show her the
Watch me
skills.
play drums.
That's right.
He's not dumb.
Yeah,
not
like,
at all.
hey man, that brought me to your mom, so
That's
it
right.
works. you
Girls
know.
like drummers. There's no doubt.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Shoot, man. Well, that's awesome. So pretty much what you're saying is all your hobbies include drums too. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty
Hey
much.
man, I love that.
No, me
That's
too, man. That's
amazing.
what makes, that's what makes champions, buddy. That's why you're
That's
on
right.
the Wheaties box.
That's right.
Drums and dogs, man.
I love
Hey.
it. Drums and dogs,
I could think of worse things to be obsessed with, right?
like boats and hoes. Hey,
Yeah, man.
Hey, you know
Boats
what?
and
I seen a
hoes.
YouTube channel the other day, and the YouTube channel was like Prestige Worldwide, but it had like a little, like one character extra or something on it, so they could get away with it. But I was like, oh man, I don't know why it just tickled me every time I hear that, dude. And there's here we go. There's Stupid Baby Podcast of them two idiots
Dude.
talking.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's they've baby podcasted everything, man. You can't get away from it. But anyway, dude, that movie, dude. When he rubs his nuts on that dude's drums.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
man.
probably took great offense to that. I'm
No,
sure.
man, I love that movie, and we watched it so many times with my stepson. I mean, he loves that one too. So
I love all them dumb movies. I always have, man. Like,
Yeah.
them and I don't know. We talked about Airheads the other day. Remember that?
Oh.
That was a great
Brian,
movie.
you had to have watched Airheads.
I don't know if I've seen that one actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh man,
I don't think I
it's
have.
Adam Sandler, Steve Buscemi, and Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Oh, I should. that's the only one I haven't seen.
Oh,
need to
I'm a
watch
fan of
Dude,
those Sandler movies.
You would love this movie.
Yes.
Waterboy.
They break
is
so a
just-
band breaks into a studio to try to get their single played.
Oh,
They
okay, I've
hijack
heard
the studio
about
with
it. Okay.
squirt guns loaded with hot sauce, and nobody knows
Wow.
there's hot sauce in there.
Adam
they think
Sa-
they're real guns.
And Adam Sandler's the drummer, by the way.
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
dude.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't believe
really
I
good.
haven't seen that.
Oh,
I gotta
you
check
should.
that
You
out.
need to watch that.
It's,
All
re-
right.
it's really good. Like I said, we were talking offline about some of the
Yeah.
shows, and I it's a serious request. Like if you like any kind of crime stuff, I need you to watch Blackbird.
I'll check it
Yeah,
out.
And then,
I'll
yeah,
check it out.
and then I need you to tell me, dude, I'm so glad you told me. This show.
You've got some long flights coming up, man. Maybe you can watch some.
Oh,
of
no
them.
yeah, I'll
doubt.
download that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. You know, another one that I like, we talked about, it's going to come up every episode, I guess, is Silo. And it's
You were
another
really
one on Apple.
pushing that silo.
Silo's good, man. It's
Yeah.
really good. Apple has some good shows on it.
They
There's
do.
one called
Apple,
Severance
yeah.
that a lot of people like. And
I watched something called Dark Matter, and that was really good.
man, I heard about that one.
Trying to
But I
think
got
if
my
I've seen
buddy on me right now big time to watch what's it called? He just texted me to watch it.
On Apple.
No, it's not on Apple. Hold on. I
So
can pull
Dark
it up.
Matter, Brian, is kind of about this guy discovers a portal into like the multiverse,
Oh,
and he's going into these worlds that are different versions of him, but he's trying to get back to his wife in his actual reality.
Oh, okay.
It's really
All
good,
right.
man. Really good.
I like some sci-fi stuff.
Yeah,
I like.
you might like that.
Yeah.
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 Mobland is the one that he's.
Oh, with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
You know what? I started watching the first episode and I fall asleep. I have a bad habit. Like, we'll put on shows at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And
Same.
I always
You fall
asleep.
out.
Yeah.
That's when I put on Duck Dynasty. Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking of that.
Oh.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of ugly. I was glad I was by myself in my
Were
house.
you ugly crying?
Well, the boys in the duck call room
Oh yeah, I saw a little bit of
did
that.
a live podcast.
Yeah. So were you ever a Duck Dynasty guy, or you know what the show is?
I know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. When the kids were younger, they liked it, and I'm familiar with it. I know that
So
got passed.
Phil,
Yeah.
the main guy, died.
Yeah.
So the craziest thing, I was in Louisiana when I found that.
Yeah,
out.
you were.
How crazy
I know,
is that,
I know.
man?
And man, it was. But so all the guys were like, "We're sorry."
Yeah.
They were literally down on themselves
Yeah.
because they were crying, and they promised Phil they would.
They wouldn't cry
because Phil was the guy that said, "Don't cry for me." Like people who don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not dead. I'm
in a better place.
My life's changed.
Yeah.
That I'm with Jesus, and
Wow.
don't be crying. You know, and they were like, "We're sorry, Phil. We can't help it." You know, and it was just like,
man.
Big Martin wouldn't take his sunglasses off. JD's over there, just waterworks.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the chair going, "Help me, Jesus!" It just hurt, man. And he was just such a father figure to them. And you know, man, what was cool? I didn't know this part about him. He, you know, if you watch The Blind, you know that he owned a bar. And he was an awful guy. He abused his family. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. He was really a tough, mean dude. Like people mess with him. He'd just put hands on you. Like that's just how he was. Just a big old rough man, which is crazy because he had like a master's degree as a teacher. He was like brilliant too.
Yeah.
But he was an alcoholic, and he was at bar. And his little sister Jan, which is the youngest sister, told this pastor. She said, "I'm telling you now, if you convert my brother Phil, he will convert thousands." And he went to that bar and he talked to him, and it took him a little while, and he finally converted Phil, and Phil gave his life to the Lord. And then he literally reached thousands of people with the gospel on that show. That's one thing I'll say about that show, man.
Well,
and I don't care what anybody's listen. This, you know, we are Christian at this podcast. We talk about the Lord all the time, but to do what he did, like
that platform,
he changed a lot of people.
And at one point, man, that was like the biggest reality show. That kind of set the precedent for a lot of reality shows.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it was, you know, and the way that it all broke down was like Corey put it together, like which was Willie's wife, and it kind of turned up. It wasn't supposed to be. They didn't think it was going to do anything. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the guys weren't hardly getting paid anything, and Corey went in and said, "Hey, we need more money for our talent," and so they all started getting paid or whatever. But Cy was even on the podcast the day after.
Yeah,
he was the one that did the best. He's like, "Hey, he told y'all, Phil, we can't see him no more, but we're gonna see him again." Yeah. And they're such. And the funny thing is, we were talking a while ago about, I think you said Yngwie was the Michael Jordan of guitar. Yeah. Well, literally, Phil Robertson was known as the Michael Jordan of duck hunting. Yeah. That's why they got, so famous named on the calls. But yeah, he passed away, and that was pretty sad. So yeah, that had me ugly. I don't know, how do we talk about Duck Dynasty?
Well, it's just what we do. It's the format.
I know.
No format.
I tell people all the time, these are the conversations that may seem useless. You didn't know how bad you needed them, right?
That's right.
You need these conversations just to break the monotony. But Brian, man, dude, super good to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
it's
you
been
for
a blast.
your time.
Thank you guys both.
And honestly, I'd love to talk to you again. Maybe again when you get back. We can spread some time, but I'd love to hear some stories and maybe see some footage, because you said you video stuff, and maybe we can get Chris in here one day too, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to do it.
Yeah. But everybody, man, we love you. We thank you for all that you do for us. We will. I think this one went quite a while. I'm probably going to cut this just into 2 episodes. So for the next 2 weeks, be looking for this amazing
Brian Mullins,
episode
so
with
good you
Brian
had to give
Mullins.
him 2.
So good. Yeah, the guy's so nice. We had to show him twice, right?
That's right.
But man, it was amazing. And again, thanks for coming, Brian. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And we have a special way that we say goodbye every week. And so, Jimmy, with no further ado, brother, here you go.
Well, bye.